The training room smelled like sweat and metal. Cadets from 12 different species stood in pairs across the wide floor. Some had scales, some had fur, some had skin in colors that humans could not even name, but they all wore the same gray uniform of the Galactic Military Academy. Stood in the corner of the room. She was small, even by human standards. Her black hair was cut short, and her eyes watched everything with a quiet patience that made the other cadets nervous. She was 24 years old, but something in her face looked much older. Walked toward her slowly. He was a species with blue scales and 4 arms. His people were known for being curious and friendly. They asked many questions, sometimes too many questions. "You are my partner today," said. His translator device turned his clicking sounds into words. "For the close combat exercise." Nodded. She did not smile. She rarely smiled. The instructor, a large creature with gray skin and no eyes, called out the start of the exercise. All around the room, cadets began to fight. They grabbed and pushed and tried to pin each other to the ground. Moved toward with all 4 arms raised. He was bigger than her, stronger than her. His species could lift 3 times their body weight. He thought this would be easy. He was wrong. Moved like water. She stepped to the side, grabbed one of his arms and twisted. Before could understand what was happening, he was on the ground. Her knee pressed into his back. His face touched the cold floor. "Yield," said quietly. "I yield," said. He was not hurt, but he was very confused. Let him go and stepped back, stood up slowly. His scales had changed color slightly, showing his embarrassment. Around them, other cadets were still fighting. Most matches lasted several minutes. Theirs had lasted 6 seconds. "Again?" asked. They fought 3 more times. Each time ended up on the ground. Each time it happened so fast that he could not understand how she did it. Humans were supposed to be weak. Their bodies were soft. They had no claws, no armor, no natural weapons. But this human moved like she had been fighting her whole life. After the 4th match, the instructor called for a rest period. Cadets sat on the floor or leaned against walls. Some drank water. Some checked their bruises. Sat next to, she was not breathing hard. She was not sweating. She looked exactly the same as she had before they started. "You are very skilled," said. "Thank you. Where did you learn to fight like this?" "Many places." Wanted to ask more, but something stopped him. There was a wall around this human. He could feel it. She answered questions, but she did not really answer them. Then he noticed something. On her neck, just below her jaw, there was a mark. It was raised skin, rough and uneven. It formed a strange pattern, almost like a symbol. Amongst people, scars did not exist. Their bodies healed perfectly. But he had learned about scars in his xenobiology class. He knew that some species kept marks from old wounds. "The mark on your neck," said, pointing carefully. "Is that a symbol? Is it a rank insignia?" His hand moved to her neck. Her fingers touched the raised skin. For a moment her eyes looked far away, like she was seeing something that was not in this room. The training room grew quiet. Other cadets had heard the question. They turned to look. Everyone knew about the human with the scar. Everyone had wondered about it, but nobody had asked. "No," said, her voice was soft, almost a whisper. "It is not a symbol." "Then what is it?" asked. Looked at him. Her eyes were dark and deep, like holes that went down forever. Felt a strange fear in his chest. Not fear of her body or her strength. Fear of something else. Something he could not name. "It is a kill that took too long," said. His translator beeped twice. It always did that when it was confused by human words. But the translation was correct. He had understood her. He just did not understand the meaning. "I do not understand," he admitted. Looked around the room. All the cadets were watching now. They were like with their blue scales. There were tall and thin with skin like bark. There were mendy, small creatures with too many eyes. There were a dozen other species, all young, all curious, all wondering about the human with the scar. "You all want to know," said. It was not a question. Nobody spoke, nobody moved. Sat down on the training mat. She crossed her legs and placed her hands on her knees. She looked like a teacher about to give a lesson, but her eyes still had that faraway look. "I was not always a cadet," she said. 18 months ago, I was a soldier. I was stationed on a small colony called 442B. It was a farming world, very peaceful, very quiet. She paused. Her fingers touched her scar again. Then they came, the ones we call the Wraith Collective. You have probably heard of them. The Council says they are contained. The Council says they are not a threat anymore. Her voice became hard. The Council was wrong. Leaned forward. Around him, every cadet in the room did the same. Nobody wanted to miss a single word. "What happened?" a cadet asked. Looked at her hands. They were small hands, soft hands, hands that did not look dangerous at all. "I survived," she said simply, "and I have this scar to remind me how." She looked up at. "Do you want to hear the whole story?" Nodded, everyone nodded. Took a deep breath. "Then I will tell you, but I warn you, it is not a happy story. It is not a story about glory or honor. It is a story about what happens when a human has nothing left to lose." The training room was completely silent. Began to speak. 442B was a green world. The sky was pale orange during the day and deep purple at night. The air smelled like fresh grass and something sweet, like fruit that was almost ready to eat. 3,000 humans lived there, growing food for other colonies in the sector. Arrived on a transport ship 6 months before the attack. She was part of a security team, 6 soldiers to protect 3,000 farmers. It seemed like enough. The colony was far from any danger. The nearest hostile territory was weeks away. Nothing bad ever happened on 442B. Remembered her first day clearly. She stood at the edge of the main settlement and looked at the fields. Rows of plants stretched to the horizon. Children ran between the houses, laughing and playing. Old people sat on benches and watched the sunset. It was peaceful. It was beautiful. Sergeant walked up beside her. He was older than maybe 40 years old. His face had lines from smiling too much. He was the kind of soldier who told jokes and made everyone feel safe. "Nice place," said. "Very nice," agreed. "Try not to get too bored." Smiled. "I will try." For 6 months nothing happened, trained every day. She ran around the settlement. She practiced with her rifle. She checked the security systems, but there was never any real threat. The most exciting thing that happened was when a wild animal broke into a food storage building, scared it away with a loud noise. The farmers thanked her like she was a hero. Then the wraiths came. It was early morning. The sun was just starting to rise. Was in the security station checking the overnight reports. Everything was normal. Everything was quiet. The first explosion came without warning. The ground shook. The lights went out, fell from her chair and hit the floor hard. Emergency alarms started screaming. Red lights flashed everywhere. "What is happening?" someone shouted. Grabbed her rifle and ran outside. She looked up at the sky and felt her blood turn cold. 3 ships hung in the air above the colony. They were black and twisted, like they were made of shadows and nightmares. Had seen pictures of ships like these in her training. She knew what they meant. Wraith Collective. More explosions hit the colony. The communications tower fell. The power station burst into flames. In the distance could hear people screaming. She ran toward the security station's main building. Inside she found chaos. 2 of her teammates were already dead, killed by falling debris. Another was badly hurt, bleeding from a wound in his stomach. "They hit the defense satellite first," the injured soldier said. His name was, "Then the beacon, we cannot call for help." "Where is Sergeant?" asked. "Generator room. He went to restore backup power." Ran through the burning building. Smoke filled her lungs. Heat pressed against her skin. She found near the generator room door. He was lying on the ground. There was blood everywhere. Sergeant knelt beside him, looked up at her. His eyes were unfocused. His breathing was shallow and weak. He had been hit by something, maybe an explosion, maybe debris. It did not matter. Could see that he was dying. Whispered, "Listen to me. Do not talk, save your strength, I will get help." "There is no help," grabbed her hand. His grip was surprisingly strong. "The others are dead, will not last an hour. You are the only one left." Shook her head. "No, that cannot be right." 3,000 people said. "Farmers, children, old people, they cannot fight, they cannot run. The wraiths will take them. You know what the wraiths do to prisoners." Knew, everyone knew. The Wraith Collective did not kill their captives quickly. They used them, experimented on them, ate them. Death was a mercy that came slowly if it came at all. "Help is coming," said. "The Council will send ships, but it will take time. Weeks, maybe." Weeks, felt something cold grip her heart. They cannot survive for weeks. "Then you have to help them survive." Pressed his rifle into her hands. "Protect them, keep them alive until help comes." "I cannot do this alone. There are too many wraiths. I am only one person." Smiled. It was a sad smile, full of pain and something else. Something like faith. "You are not just one person," he said. "You are human. Do you know what that means?" Did not answer. "It means you do not give up. It means you keep fighting when everything is lost. It means you find a way when there is no way." His voice was getting weaker. "The universe is full of species that are stronger than us, faster than us, smarter than us, but none of them have what we have." "What do we have?" His eyes closed. "Stubbornness," he whispered. "Beautiful, stupid, magnificent stubbornness." His hand went limp. His chest stopped moving. Knelt beside him for a long moment. Outside, she could hear the Wraith ships landing. She could hear their soldiers moving through the colony, breaking down doors, dragging people from their homes. She had a choice. She could hide. She could wait. She could hope that the Wraiths would not find her. Or she could fight. Stood up, she checked her rifle. She checked her knife. She counted her ammunition. It was not enough. It would never be enough. But it was a start. She looked down its body. "I will protect them," she said quietly. "I promise." Then she walked out into the burning colony, and she began to hunt. The first wraith she killed was a scout. He was alone, searching through a destroyed house looking for survivors. Watched him from the shadows for 10 minutes. She learned how he moved. She learned where his weak spots were. Then she put a bullet through his head. The body fell without a sound. Dragged it into a drainage tunnel and left it there. She took his weapon, his communicator, and his food. Then she moved on. By the end of the first day, she had killed 7 wraiths. The wraiths were tall creatures, almost 3 meters high. Their skin was pale gray like dead flesh. Their eyes were black and empty. They had claws that could cut through metal and teeth that could crush bone. They were built for killing. But they were not built for being hunted. Spent the first week learning the enemy. She watched them from hiding places. She listened to their communications on the stolen device. She mapped their patrols, their camps, their habits. She learned that they slept during the hottest part of the day. She learned that they could not see well in bright light. She learned that they hunted in packs, and when one died, the others would rush to the location. She used all of this against them. On the third night, set her first trap. She killed a wraith scout near the old water treatment plant. Then she placed explosives around the body and hid nearby. When the other wraiths came to investigate, she pressed a button. The explosion killed 9 of them. Did not wait to count the bodies. She was already moving to her next position, planning her next attack. The colonists were hidden in small groups throughout the settlement, had organized them on the second day. She could not protect 3,000 people in one place. That would be too easy for the wraiths to find. So she split them up, 50 here, 100 there. hidden in basements, in tunnels, in the spaces between walls. She moved between them like a ghost. She brought food and water. She treated injuries with supplies she stole from Wraith camps. She gave instructions. Stay quiet. Stay hidden. Do not come out for any reason. The people looked at her with fear and hope. They did not know her name. They just called her the soldier who appeared in the darkness, the soldier who kept them alive. By day 7, had killed 43 Wraiths. The Wraith commander noticed. His name was the Pale King. He was larger than the other Wraiths, nearly 3.5 meters tall. His skin was not gray but white, like snow, like bone, like death itself. He had led the Wraith Collective for 200 years. He had conquered dozens of worlds. He had eaten thousands of prisoners. He had never faced anything like. On day 8, the Pale King made an announcement. His voice came through every speaker in the colony, translated into human language. "Little human," he said, "I know you are out there. I know you are the one killing my soldiers. You are clever, you are fast, I respect this, but you cannot win." Listened from her hiding place in an air vent. She did not move. She did not breathe. "I will give you one chance," the Pale King continued. "Come to me now, surrender yourself, and I will let the other humans live. They will be slaves, yes, but they will be alive, refuse, and I will start killing them, one every hour, until you show yourself." The speakers went silent, closed her eyes. She thought about the colonists hidden throughout the settlement. She thought about the children. She thought about its last words. Then she made her decision. She would not surrender. Surrendering would not save anyone. The Pale King was a liar. He would kill the colonists anyway, slowly, painfully. The only way to save them was to keep fighting. But the Pale King was true to his word. On day 9, he began executing prisoners. Heard it happen through the stolen communicator. A Wraith patrol had found a group of colonists hiding in a basement. 20 people. They were dragged to the main square and killed one by one while the Pale King watched. "This is your fault, little human," the Pale King announced. "Every death is on your hands. Come out and it will stop." Felt something break inside her. Grief, rage, something darker than both. That night she killed 15 Wraiths in 3 hours. She did not use traps this time. She did not use bombs or tricks. She moved through the Wraith camps with her knife in her hands. She was silent and fast and without mercy. When the sun rose, the Wraith patrols found bodies everywhere. And next to each body had left a message. She had carved it into the ground with her knife. It was a symbol from the Wraith hunting language. She had learned it by watching them. The symbol meant, "I am not prey." On day 12, the Pale King stopped making announcements. He stopped executing prisoners. He became quiet. Knew what this meant. He was scared. Good. She continued hunting. Day 13, day 14, day 15. The Wraith numbers dropped. 60 dead, 70, 80, stopped sleeping. She stopped eating regular meals. She moved through the colony like a machine, killing everything that was not human. Her body was falling apart. Her hands shook from exhaustion. Her vision blurred from lack of sleep. But she did not stop. She could not stop. Stopping meant death. Stopping meant failure. Stopping meant that had died for nothing. On day 16, finally found what she was looking for. The Pale King's command post. It was in the colony's main administrative building. Heavy guards, security systems, impossible to attack directly. But had not survived 16 days by being direct. She spent one full day watching, planning, preparing. On day 17, she would kill the Pale King. Or she would die trying. The night was cold, moved through the darkness like a shadow among shadows. She had not slept in 2 days. Her body felt like it belonged to someone else. But her mind was clear. Her purpose was sharp. Tonight she would end this. The Pale King's command post had 12 guards, had watched them for 20 hours. She knew their routines. She knew their weaknesses. She knew exactly when they changed positions and exactly where the gaps in their patrols were. She had also prepared something special. During the past week, had been collecting chemicals from the colony's farming supplies, herbicides, pesticides, fertilizers, things that were harmless to humans but very dangerous when mixed correctly. She had spent 3 hours creating a poison that would attack the Wraith nervous system. One drop on their skin and they would be paralyzed in seconds. She carried the poison in a small glass container in her pocket. At midnight began her attack. The first guard died silently, came from behind, covered his mouth, and drove her poisoned knife into his neck. He dropped like a puppet with cut strings. The second guard was harder. He turned at the wrong moment and saw her. His mouth opened to scream, threw her knife. It hit him in the throat before any sound came out. She retrieved her knife and kept moving. Guards 3, 4, and 5 fell in quick succession. Was almost inside the building now. She could see the pale king through a window. He was sitting on a chair made from human bones. He was eating something. Did not look closely at what it was. She took a deep breath and stepped through the door. Everything went wrong immediately. A guard she had not seen grabbed her from behind. Her stolen communicator had been wrong about the patrol schedule. There were not 12 guards, there were 16. Twisted and fought. She got her knife free and killed the guard who held her, but his dying scream echoed through the building. More guards came running. Alarms started howling. The next few minutes were chaos. Fought like she had never fought before. She used her knife. She used her hands. She used everything she had learned in years of training and 17 days of war. Wraiths fell around her. 1, 2, 3, 4. But there were too many. A claw caught her shoulder. She felt skin tear. Another claw raked across her side. Blood ran down her body. She kept fighting. She kept killing. 5, 6, 7. Then the Pale King himself stepped forward. He was enormous. Standing next to him, felt like a child facing a mountain. His white skin seemed to glow in the dim light. His black eyes looked at her with something like amusement. "So," he said, his voice was deep and cold, like wind from a grave. "You are the little human who has killed so many of my soldiers." Raised her knife. Her hand was shaking. Blood dripped from her wounds onto the floor. "You are smaller than I expected," the Pale King said. "Weaker, more fragile. How did something like you cause me so much trouble?" He moved faster than thought possible. One moment he was standing 3 meters away. The next moment, his hand was around her throat, lifting her off the ground. "I am going to enjoy this," the Pale King said. "I am going to take my time with you. Days, perhaps, weeks. I want to understand what makes humans so stubborn. I want to take you apart piece by piece and see what is inside." His claw traced a line down her neck, felt the sharp edge cut through her skin. Warm blood ran down her chest. The pain was incredible, but she did not scream. She would not give him that satisfaction. "I will start here," the Pale King said. "I will carve my name into your flesh, so that everyone will know who broke you." Looked into his black eyes. She thought about the colonists still hiding throughout the settlement. She thought about the people who had died. She thought about. Then she smiled. "You talk too much," she said. The microcharge in her collar exploded. Had hidden it there on day 15. A small explosive, not enough to kill the Pale King. His kind were too strong, too tough, but enough to hurt him, enough to surprise him. The blast tore through the Pale King's hand. He screamed, a horrible sound like metal scraping against stone. His grip loosened, fell to the floor. She could not see. The explosion had blinded her temporarily, but she did not need to see. She had memorized this room. She knew exactly where everything was. Her hand found her knife. She drove it into the Pale King's leg. He screamed again and fell to one knee, pulled the knife out and stabbed again, and again, and again. The Pale King fought back. His claws found her body. More cuts, More blood, more pain, but did not stop. She could not stop. They fought for hours. It was not a battle. It was not a duel. It was two wounded animals tearing each other apart in the darkness. The Pale King was stronger. He was bigger. He was harder to kill, but was relentless. Every time he knocked her down, she got back up. Every time he thought she was finished, she found something else to hurt him with. Knife fist, a broken chair leg, a piece of glass, her teeth. 9 hours. For 9 hours, fought the Pale King in that room. When the sun rose, the Pale King finally died. Sat beside his body. She was covered in blood. Most of it was hers. Her left arm was broken. 3 of her ribs were cracked. The wound on her neck had gone deep, cutting through muscle and nearly reaching bone. She should have been dead. Any normal person would have been dead hours ago. But was not normal. She was human, and humans did not know when to quit. She stood up slowly. Her legs shook, her vision was blurry, but she stood. Then she cut off the Pale King's head. She carried it outside and mounted it on a pole near the colony entrance. A message to any wraith who might still be alive. A message to anyone who might come looking. This is what happens to those who threaten humans. Then walked to the main bunker where the largest group of colonists was hidden. She knocked on the door with a specific pattern. The door opened. 300 faces looked at her. "It is over," said. Then she collapsed. The training room was silent. Had stopped speaking. Her hand rested on her neck, fingers tracing the raised scar tissue. The pattern was clearer now that knew what it was. Not a symbol, not a rank insignia. The beginning of a name that was never finished. The Pale King had started to carve his mark into her flesh, but he had not lived long enough to complete it. Felt cold. His scales had turned a pale shade of blue, the sign of deep emotion. Around him the other cadets looked the same, shocked, horrified, something else too, something that might have been awe. "The council patrol arrived 2 days later," said quietly. "They found me unconscious in the medical bay. The colonists had carried me there and treated my wounds with what little supplies they had." She paused. 2,847 people survived. Out of 3,000, 453 died during the 19 days, some from the initial attack, some from the Wraith patrols, some from hunger and fear and injuries that I could not treat. Her voice was flat, empty, like she was reading numbers from a report. "I remember every name," she said, "every face, every person I could not save." A cadet raised a thin, branch-like arm. "What happened to the remaining wraiths, the ones who survived?" Looked at him, her eyes were dark and distant. "When the council patrol arrived, they asked me the same question. They wanted to negotiate with any survivors, capture them for questioning, learn about the Wraith Collective's plans." She shook her head slowly. "I told them there was no one left to negotiate with." The implication hung in the air. Felt his stomach twist. The young human woman sitting in front of him, small and quiet and seemingly harmless, had killed every single wraith on that colony. Over 100 enemy soldiers. Alone. "The council gave me a medal," continued. "They called me a hero. They offered me any posting I wanted, any rank, any reward. I asked for one thing." "What?" asked. "To come here to the academy." Looked around the room at all the young cadets. "I wanted to teach." A Mendi cadet, small with many eyes, tilted its head. "Teach what?" Stood up slowly. She walked to the center of the training mat. Her movements were graceful, controlled, nothing like the broken woman she had described from the end of those 19 days. "The council thinks they understand humans," she said. "They put us in the category of persistent species. They note that we do not give up easily. They think this is interesting, useful, sometimes amusing." She turned to face the cadets directly. "They do not understand what it really means." She held up her hand and counted on her fingers. "They are stronger than humans. They live longer. The Mendi are faster. that can survive in vacuum, that can regenerate from almost any injury. Every species in this room has some advantage that humans lack. She lowered her hand. But none of you have what we have. Stubbornness, said quietly, remembering what she had said earlier. Your sergeant mentioned stubbornness. Nodded, stubbornness, persistence. The refusal to accept defeat, call it whatever you want, but it is more than that. She touched her scar. Humans do not just refuse to give up. We become something else when we are pushed too far, something that frightens even us. We call it many names: desperation, rage, the survival instinct. But it is more than survival. It is a darkness that lives inside every human, a capacity for violence that we spend our whole lives trying to control. She looked at each cadet in turn. When I was fighting the Pale King, I was not thinking about survival. I was not thinking about the colonists. I was not thinking about anything at all. I had become something less than human, something more than human, a creature made of pain and fury and the absolute certainty that I would kill my enemy or die trying. The room was completely silent. This is what I want to teach you, said. Not how to fight like a human. Your species have your own ways of fighting, but how to understand what you will face if you ever go to war against humans. She sat back down on the mat, crossing her legs. The Wraith Collective had conquered dozens of worlds. They had defeated species far more powerful than humans. They believed they were the greatest predators in the galaxy. She smiled, but it was not a happy smile. They had never met a human with nothing left to lose. Raised his hand slowly. The scar, he said. You said the medics could have removed it. Why did you keep it? His hand moved to her neck again. She touched the rough skin gently, almost tenderly. Because I need to remember, she said. Every morning when I look in the mirror, I see what I am capable of, what any human is capable of. It reminds me to be careful, to be controlled, to never let that darkness out unless there is no other choice. She looked at directly. It reminds me that being human is not about being strong or fast or tough. It is about knowing that you carry something dangerous inside you and choosing every single day to be better than that. The training instructor, who had been watching silently from the corner, finally spoke. That is enough rest time. Return to your exercises. The cadets slowly stood up. They moved back to their positions on the training mat, but something had changed. They looked at differently now, not with fear exactly, with respect, with understanding. Walked back to his spot across from. He raised his forearms into a fighting stance. I will try harder this time, he said. Nodded. For the first time since he had met her, she smiled. A real smile, small and tired but genuine. Good, she said. That is all any of us can do. They began to spar again. And this time, when ended up on the ground, it took 8 seconds instead of 6. It was a small victory, but had learned something important today. Small victories were how humans won their wars. One fight at a time. One day at a time. Until the enemy was gone, and the people they protected were safe. He stood up and raised his arms again. Again, he said. Smile grew slightly wider. Now you are learning, she said.